city, then you need also to look at what else has been found. Now, once you look for this place, you need to go back and see. Let's look at Petra, and let's look at some things that I would like to specifically pinpoint. Let's put the slide up here to see what we're talking about. Petra. One of the great things about Petra is that it fits the biblical account. Right. When you look at Hagar and you look at what's happening with Abraham, we know that Hagar is in a valley. That's very clear. We're going to one mountain and then to another. In fact, the whole tradition in the pilgrimage of going back between Safa and Marwa are those two mountains that supposedly Hagar went to when she was there with her son Ishmael. Abraham comes to talk to her, and he turns the corner of sight, which is exactly what we find cliffs in Petra, the Thanea, or turning to the right.
Thanea, that means something bent, basically.
And that's the sikh that you find there in Petra. But let's take a look at the map of Petra. When you look at that map there on the right, you can see that if we were to expand it a bit, you can see that there is a valley there. You can see that this valley does not exist in Mecca. There is a parallel valley which does not exist in Mecca. You can see as you look at the area in red, that's the Christian quarters. That was many of the aristocracy. That's the ones who actually did speak Aramaic. And it was fascinating. They are the ones, we're going to get into this later, how that they are the ones that actually give us Quranic Arabic. The Quranic Arabic that we see in the Quran, that's unique to the Quran, that everybody notices is different than the Hadramaut area in the south or the Hijaz area in the middle part of Arabia is used in the north, and it comes out of this Nabatean.
And by the way, the most popular reads found from the reading that is in the north also. Out of those canonized readings, the most famous one that is found most of the time in the later Quranic manuscripts comes from the north.
So let's go back to that map again, and let's take a look there. When you come down and you look at the areas, I just want to get you a visualization of the map. Let's just take a look at another one here. Here is the another map that's very much the same thing, and you can see when you look at the map that there is a temple of Uzza, and there's also a temple of Dushara. So these Al-Uzza, who is Al-Uzza?
Well, it's Al-Uzza, one of the gods, or the idol gods.
Actually, she's a goddess. It's
a
female
goddess. Yeah, basically, that's what I mean. It's like an idol that was being worshipped, and it was mentioned in the Quran. Alat wal-Uzza.
Alat wal-Uzza. Chapter 53, verse 19 and 20. Surah 53.
The story of the incident that is known as the Satanic Verses.
You're right, which Salman Rushdie made famous with his book called The Satanic Verses. So there you can see the Al-Uzza, and then if the orange, look at the orange area, that is the temple of Dushara. So I want to pinpoint these two real quickly. There's the temple of Dushara on the left and on the right. That is there. You can go see it. And it refers to Dushara. So who is this Dushara? Well, Dushara is the Nabatean god. The Nabatean god, the great god Dushara. And that's why a temple is dedicated to him. And sits right there in the middle of the valley. What's fascinating is Dushara is his formal name. But his generic name is Ilah.
Ilah. God, just a God.
Which is Allah. Yeah. Allah comes from Ilah.
That's right.
So here this Dushara is the God that we see in the Quran. Do we not find it in the Quran?
We do. There's multiple references. And by the way, I would argue that when you say the reference right now, I'll explain why Allah could be taken out of Ilah.
Okay, well, I have it open here, and I'm going to just read this now. I'll read it to you. This is in Surah 3, Ayah 18. It says, Allah bears witness that La ilaha illa huwa.
No God but Him.
No God but Him.
Ilah, La ilaha illa huwa, meaning this Ilah is the unique one that represents Him.
So this Ilah is the name, actually, is a generic name for Dushara. So the God that we see in the Quran, that's repeated in chapter 37, verse 35. That's also repeated in chapter 47, verse 19. Three places that I've just looked up real quickly. I'm sorry, you looked them up real quickly, and we found them real quickly. There may be more than that, but those are three you can look at. So that's chapter 3, verse 18, chapter 37, verse 35, and chapter 47, verse 19.
Now, I would argue that because of these kind of verses that the definite article was added, because there is no God or no ilah but Allah, basically, that you add the definite article al to ilah and becomes Allah, technically speaking.
There's ilah becomes al once you put al there.
That's my theory. Again, I don't want people to go ahead and attack me over this. What I'm saying, it's very obvious to me in Arabic that once you add the definite article la ilaha, meaning there is no God but Allah, meaning this is the one.
Well, if there is another God, then you have to throw out chapter 3, verse 18, because it said there is no other but this God. So this is Allah, because this is the only God that's referred to in the Bible. So you, by definition, it would surmise that they're talking about this God, which is a Nabatean God, and that's his temple that we saw, that we showed up there.
Right.
But I'm going to go one step further. I want to show this slide here, because this slide, if we look at put it up there, this slide here is Alat. Now, is not Alat the feminine form of Allah?
Yes.
In Arabic?
Exactly.
So Alat is the feminine form of Allah, which is the generic name for Al-Uzza. Al-Uzza is the goddess, the consort of Dushara, who is Ilaha, which means that Alat and Al-Uzza is the same goddess. Al-Uzza would be the formal name, and that's why we have here, you can see the pictures of her. She is well known in Nabatean culture. She is found in many, not just in Petra, she's found in other cities. She's also found as far away as Palmyra. So all over, she's very popular. She is the wife of Dushara, who is Ilaha, who is Allah. Alat is her generic name, as Ilaha or Allah is the generic name for Dushara. So here you have Dushara, the god of the Nabateans, has a wife. Now, do you see a problem with that in the Quran in chapter 6, verse 101?
Well, I mean, certainly there is a big case to be made. But let me play the devil's advocate right now. I mean, I would like for you to unpack. Somebody back and push against this. Wait a minute. The Quran was very Alat wa Al-Uzza, two, not the same one. What would we say about this, for instance?
I would say that they didn't look at their very well, and they didn't actually go back, just like they didn't look at, they shouldn't have been using Ilaha, they should have used Dushara. There's the problem. Whoever wrote the Quran were writing it, looks like in the 8th century. They were not going and actually unpacking it. It looks like, in this case, they did not understand what the God.
There is the feminine God and the masculine God.
Feminine God and masculine
Husband
God.
and wife.
Except if they had gone to, if they'd really gone to Petra, they would have seen there are actually two temples. And it's according to the Nabateans, this is the wife of Petra. But in chapter, it says very clearly, He, Allah, is the originator of the heavens and the earth, so it has to be Allah. How can he have children when he has no wife? The Quran is very clear that God has no wife. The Quran is very clear that God has no wife. Then they shouldn't have used Ilah.